I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to show you how I make my mango sorbet. I love this recipe. I make it a lot during the summer because my coworkers give me bushels of mangoes, and I love mangoes. So this is one of my favorite ways of using them. Okay, for this recipe, you're going to need just about a few ingredients, so let's go over them. Some fresh mangoes, lemon, some simple syrup, and salt. How easy is that? Now you know that all you gotta do is grab some fresh mangoes and you can make this at home. Now you're not gonna need an ice cream machine for this just to speed up the process. Otherwise it does take a few steps to freeze it without. Well, first thing we're gonna do is get our mangoes cut up. Now mangoes have a large stone running all through here. It's about this thick and it runs all through here. You can't cut it like you would an avocado. You have to cut off the cheeks, or so it's called. You'll be able to feel with your knife where the stone is. Like I can feel where the stone is. See that? You can't really do anything about it. You just gotta cut around it. Cut off the cheeks. Now that I have all my mango cheeks cut off, as I like to call them, just using my finger, I'm just going to remove the skin. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. Gotta just dip in there. You want to do this over your bowl that you're going to be processing these in because you want to catch any juices. Just like that. Now that my mangoes are in my food processor, I'm going to squeeze my lemon juice in here. And you don't need a lot, just the juice of one small lemon. It just adds that little bit of a brightness to it. I don't know, I can't describe it, but you can't replace it. It does need a little touch of something. Because when I first was testing this recipe and I didn't put any in, it was delicious, but it just lacked some brightness. And when I just put a little bit of lemon juice, because you know me, lemon goes in everything, it really pulled the whole thing together, which made it delicious. So I stuck with it. Okay, we're also gonna add in a pinch of salt because, as I always say, salt brings out the flavor and everything. Putting the lid on, and we're going to just puree this. This should be done. It does take a couple of minutes because, as we know, mangoes are so fibrous, which is why you need to puree it. We're also going to strain this just so that we can make sure we have a nice smooth sorbet. Just strain this over a fine sieve. My mango puree is pretty much done. This is what we're trying to avoid. These are all the little pieces of fiber from the mangoes themselves. What we want is a nice puree, smooth puree, just like so. See that? Now to this, we need to sweeten it. So we're going to sweeten it with just a little bit of the simple syrup. I have that out like that. And now for the measurements on everything, you can find the full recipe on my website at www.laurainthekitchen.com, and then you can just print it out, have it by you while you're making this. Simple as that. Now, this has to go into the fridge to cool for about 2.5 hours before we put it into our ice cream maker. So I'm just going to cover this, put it in the fridge for a couple hours, and I'll come right back. I took my sorbet mixture out of the fridge, and now, like I said, I was going to put it in for a couple of hours. I actually put it in overnight just because it's much easier, and the colder, the better. So now that's done, you want to take your insert of your ice cream machine, which is this part and this part. You want to put that in the freezer overnight as well. It needs to be incredibly cold in order for this to work. Now, if you don't have an ice cream machine, a great thing you can do is take a bowl, put it in the freezer overnight. You want to make sure it's really cold. Then you take this mixture, you put it in that cold bowl, and every 45 minutes or so, you take a whisk, and you have to mix it up, put it back in. Every 45 minutes, you're going to mix it up, put it back in. It does take like 6 or 7 hours, but that's your option if you don't have an ice cream machine, and that is what you can do when you make any kind of ice cream without an ice cream machine. The texture will be off. The flavor will be delicious. So that's completely up to you. I've just been having a lot of requests to use an ice cream machine, so that's why I'm using it. But I just give you an option if you want to do it without it. So I'm gonna put this in here. Just pour it right in, nice and cold. That's exactly what you want. Now you have to read your manufacturer's instructions because every ice cream machine is different. Mine takes about 25 minutes or so in order for this to set. So I'm just gonna turn it on and let it go for 25 minutes. This is done. Taking this little thingy out. Woo! Almost lost my container. Just gonna push this all down here. It's perfect consistency. Put this back here. Remove this. I'm gonna put mine in these handy dandy little containers that I just get from a restaurant supply store right near my house. It's very, very convenient. I'll worry about that later, but right now I just want to taste it like I haven't already. It's so smooth. I love that it's so incredibly creamy, and yet there's no cream in it. That comes from us straining the mixture. Remember, making sure that there was no like pulp or like fibers or anything left over. It pays off big time at the end because now you have such a smooth mixture. Look at the consistency of this. It's delicious. Go in your kitchen, make this recipe, download the recipe at www.laurainthekitchen.com. If you don't have an ice cream maker, follow my instructions. Just put a big bowl in the freezer, let that get cold, put the mixture in, stir it every 45 minutes or so. The texture might be a little bit off, but it won't affect the flavor one bit. I hope you've enjoyed spending time with me. To get this recipe and others, of course, www.laurainthekitchen.com, and I'll see you next time. Bye!